Hey, welcome to the Elle Russ Show, where we explore ways to get healthy, wealthy, and wise. With a combination of guest interviews and solo episodes, I hope you will be inspired and motivated to become the best of whatever you are. I'm Elle Russ, #1 bestselling author and subject expert with over a decade of helping thousands of people across the globe. Visit my website, elleruss.com, to learn more about free guides, masterclasses, online courses, and more. Enjoy the show. All right, the #1 best-selling relationship author of all time. If you don't know who he is, you should. John Gray. MarsVenus.com is his website, and actually right there on the page is a free course in one of his area of expertise, which is relationships. And so also tons of books. Mars, Venus, on a date, in relationships, in marriage. There is endless amount of resources for you if you are looking to have a healthy relationship. Welcome back, John. This will be our second conversation. I'm so looking forward to it. How are you?
I'm really good. Nice to talk to you again.
So one of the things I want to start off with first is the general longevity factors involved in healthy relationships and why this should be something people need to think about.
Well, you know what's paradoxical? It's not even just healthy relationships. Married people live longer and are healthier as an average, okay, than single people. And when I say that, people say, well, those are the happy marriages. I said, actually, we don't know exactly what's going on in the marriage. We just know that people who stay married live longer, and they have less heart attacks, they have less strokes, they have less disease, and they have less cancer. That's not everybody. People can be poisoned by the food they eat or the environments they're in. There can be accidents, that happen in life. But as averages, married couples live longer and they're healthier. And that's important to know. And somebody asked me, well, then what is it if it's not even defined as I'm really, really happy in my marriage? Something about staying in a marriage. Okay. If you make the commitment, what happens then, and you know my work now, I'm all talking about how the male hormones and our female hormones and how to balance those. Well, being committed and not deviating from your promise actually produces a huge amount of testosterone, which lowers stress for men. And feeling as a woman that somebody's not going to leave you, even though they're not perfect or whatever, but they're not going to leave you, and you don't have to start over, and you're going to have this companion, that produces this very important hormone for women called estrogen. And that keeps her stress levels down. And we know that one of the generalized contributing factors to all sickness and disease is chronic stress levels. If you're producing chronic stress levels, your vulnerability to sickness is greater. And put this in the context of men and women. There was research done on women who made money for a living in the workplace. Okay, so they're in the workplace. And this is averages. It's not every woman. What they found is that women in the workplace would have twice as high cortisol levels as men. And when they came home, their twice as high cortisol levels would double again as they entered home. And so men already had lower stress levels. And when they came home, according to the study, their stress levels would go down even more. So what you have is a shift that women are learning to adapt to, which is how to be on their male side in the workplace, making testosterone, but also anticipating coming home to a life that generates estrogen. If you come home to a life that generates estrogen, then while you're in the workplace, you're actually making lots of estrogen. It's very interesting. Anticipation tends to be the biggest hormone stimulator. So if I'm, for me, I travel around the world, and in some places they pay me a lot of money. So it used to be when China's economy was good, they would pay me $100,000 first class travel to go there and teach for a couple of days. And I'm like, okay, I could do that. But if you asked me before they made the offering, do you want to go to China? It's a long flight. I'm not that interested in going and having to be translated. It's more of a hassle, and I have plenty of other places to speak. But when you offer me that result, then something I don't want to do, I shift and I go, well, then I do want to do it. And this is something that's more about men, which is if we know something's going to produce, if we anticipate a reward, we get a big surge of testosterone. And testosterone is the hormone that lowers stress in men. For women, if they anticipate money, their testosterone levels could go up as well. So we have similarities. But what we know is that when women's testosterone levels go way up and it's not balanced with their estrogen levels, then they will experience chronic cortisol levels. So just as for me, anticipating a big success, a big reward raises testosterone, when a woman can anticipate coming to a time where she's going to feel loved and cared for and understood and respected. And those are the behaviors, what we used to call romance, romantic behaviors. She's the priority. It's not what I want to do. It's what she wants to do. And I want to do that for her. So that's the anticipation. So the idea of a date night, which many therapists will talk about to keep the connection there, is she's going to anticipate for a week what we're going to do next week. So one of my biohacks is make sure as a couple, you have a conversation a week in advance where he talks to her about some of the things she'd like to do without the pressure of having to decide right away and having it happen right away. But it's 3 things. So I say to my partner, 3 things that let's do next weekend. What would you like to do? And she'll start by saying, I don't know. Well, let's talk about it. What are some of the things you'd like to do? Until she gets in the habit of knowing what her part of romance is, letting me know a week in advance, 3 things she'd like to do. And then I pick what I want to do. That makes her feel at ease, like she's not telling me what to do. It's my pick, and he's happy to do it. She doesn't feel the pressure of it because it's my pick. So it's a real win. And now she has anticipating that. The anticipation of a special time together raises a lot of estrogen throughout the week. What an amazing biohack, just to understand that.
I love how you bring it, the hormonal examples, like what's happening in the body biologically, into real life, real world examples between men and women. You talked about some of the things that can raise testosterone. Now let's talk about some examples of when it gets lowered and what, as a woman, if you're with men, like how you might need to foresee that, biohack that on our side, you know?
Yeah. Okay. So, the thing about men is that men cannot be primarily dependent on women for testosterone. There's a place where I have to be able to make my test through my behavior. Whenever you feel, let me define testosterone, estrogen, and the psychology of the hormones. Whenever I'm being independent, I'm making more testosterone. Whenever I'm being dependent, like an eating, if I'm dependent on food, I'm going to make estrogen. And as long as it's not too much, no big deal. But when men feel weak on their male side, they tend to fall over to their female side. And that's what addiction is. Addiction is I'm depending on some substance or some behavior to make me feel good. That's depending on that rather than depending on myself to be of service to others, to be productive. And that the result of being productive and being appreciated then makes my testosterone go up. So I have to have the anticipation of making a difference and being appreciated. And for a woman, she needs to have the experience of somebody cares about me enough to be there for me when I need help. Okay, so that's just simply knowing I've got help. Another example of happy marriages, when we look at marriage and so forth, if you look at, again, the statistics of people who stay married throughout their lives, they get married and they stay married. Maybe it could be second marriage, but it's a long marriage. When somebody lasts a long time in a marriage, what they find is 80% of those people believe in a higher power. And 20% of those people don't believe in a higher power. And to a certain extent, higher power could be religion, or it could be just having an awareness that there's a God energy or higher power inside. So why is that so important? Because if you're a female and you feel like you're all alone in the world, you're very independent. And so that's not going to be a big estrogen producer for you. So having a spiritual perspective and a spiritual experience is really good for estrogen. It's also good for testosterone as well, because what goes along with a higher power is usually people understand the idea of you sow what you reap. So for me, because I'm very entrenched in a spiritual experience and belief, I know that the world responds to me to what I put out. So I'm always trying to be the best, kind, generous, strong, supportive, selfless person I can be, because then the world supports me more. And if I deviate from that, I don't get the support. So I've gotten a lot of support in my life by being a spiritual guide, doing the very best. And if I don't do that, I know that I will lose a lot of the support I have. So it's logic, that comes along with a spiritual perspective. So that's another aspect
Yeah,
of
with
marriage.
women, I would say like for alpha women that are independent, like you were talking about, relaxing or getting more into some spiritual aspects of life does let you to relax into that feminine a bit more and kind of discover that side. If you're go, go, go all day and you're a badass female, you can get tripped up there and need to have a little bit of balance. You mentioned this briefly, and I know you've had videos and you've talked about like buttering up your guy, which, to some people right away might sound like, oh God, we're not here to like play this role. And I can see why people would be turned off by that, but I see the way you see it, which is this primal aspect of appreciation and how
Yeah.
important that is to a man. And can you just go into a little bit about some of the language and things that people might want to consider? And this just goes for everyone, I think. In general, I'm not sure, there's so many things we think about our friends or our family members that we appreciate. When's the last time you pointed it out? Right? I mean, oftentimes people cheat or leave not because the person's better looking or more successful. It's because they're getting appreciation. So let's get into that a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
what do you
but
think?
and that is the answer to the question you asked that I didn't answer. I was building up to that answer,
Oh,
but that's good. It's just it was brilliant what you said, and you said what are some of the things that would knock his testosterone down, and basically, whenever you're feeling appreciative, say it. If that's just a simple thing. How many times do you appreciate things you don't say it? Uh, and so just say it and create situations where you can be even more appreciative. And that would be a situation where you ask for help. If you can ask for help rather than do it yourself, if you're doing things yourself, you're not going to be feeling a lot of appreciation. But to know that when you feel appreciation and when men feel appreciated, their testosterone goes up. When women feel appreciated, their testosterone goes up. There's nothing, it's good, but what do women need most to connect with, to lower their cortisol levels? We know that it's the estrogen has to be elevated. And appreciating somebody for what they did does not raise estrogen, it raises testosterone. So women are kind of like, oh, he's a big baby, or we have to butter him up. Well, think about from the male perspective. What do I need to do for her? It's a different kind of buttering up. I need to give her hugs. I need to listen to her. I need to be interested in her. I need to be affectionate with her. I need to do foreplay with her. I need to have a job so she doesn't feel she has to do it all herself. I need to be a cooperative in various things that I normally would rather just do myself. Okay. So we are put upon as well. If women don't realize that, a lot of women who think, oh, I have to butter them up, they assume that all the things that a man does for you, well, that's something he should just do. He should, no, we don't just do that. We don't do that
but
with
you
our friends.
consciously do it
We,
because,
we
right.
have to, and the more I know what you need, I'm happy to do it if somebody explains it to me. Otherwise, I stop doing it. This is men don't know what's required. My wife says to me, you're the most amazing man I've ever met. And you're like perfect. I said, no, you're so generous. I say, I'm very generous, but you have to know there's another side of me. I'm very selfish. I do all these things because I know that if I don't do them, I'm not going to have a happy wife. What do I want most? I want you to be a happy woman. Okay. And there's selfishness in that too, because when she's happy, we have great making love. Okay. There's a me side of it, but also I love her. I want her to be happy. I want her to be fulfilled. I want my children to be happy and fulfilled. So what do I have to do for that? Historically, all men had to do for that was just make money. But today, when women are making money, how can you feel huge appreciation for somebody when you're doing the same thing they're doing? So what women who are making money, as I said, their stress levels are higher. What she basically has to find is a new need inside. I don't need him for money. And what you need him for, if you make enough money, is you need him for a new kind of emotional support. That would be better communication. It would be affection. It would be warmth. It would be foreplay. It would be he never gets angry at you. He's attentive to you. He controls his emotions. These are things that will make her feel safe to express her female side. And it's kind of like the more competent a woman is in her life, the more embarrassing it would be to share her insecurities or her doubts or her fears. It's a whole facade on top. Okay. And it's too embarrassing because you can't do that in the workplace. People will think less of you, but a man will think more of you because he'll feel like, oh, I have something to offer you. I can give you comfort. I can give you ease. I can be a sounding board for you. So I have to teach men what these strong women actually need. And she has to be aware that, yes, let me see if I can like that and enjoy that. It's a kind of idea of like therapy. It's women, 95% of the people who go to therapists are women because they feel safe. I'm not going to judge you. I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to show questions. I'm going to understand you better. It's just being able to talk about what's inside that. And then later you can erase it. You know, you can say, okay, I'm done with that. Now I feel better. It's not such a big deal. But I can't say to my wife, if she's upset, it's not a big deal. No, that's something she'll find out on her own when she's starting to feel better. It's not such an emergency, or it's normal when you're stressed. Your brain makes a big deal out of things, and you have to like share it if you want to make estrogen. And when the estrogen levels go up and the stress level goes down, well, he didn't do this, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that, but he does do this for me, and he does do this for me, and he does do this for me. So there's a balancing factor because life is never perfect. No partner is ever perfect. Although my partner thinks I'm perfect.
Well, I want to highlight what you talked about with, so because I am the example of the strong alpha female who usually, before you're coached on this, before you're aware of it, you do not want to be vulnerable in any way or show any kind of vulnerability because it is seen as a weakness. We all know now what a strength that is. And sometimes it causes problems with alpha women. We end up sometimes going for betas because it seems easier. And then we regret that and realize we do want someone to be, so it's a very interesting journey as a woman. What I'd like to ask you before we get into some other things is women out there who are wanting to find their person, their marriage, family, whatever it is. What are some general ways you can guide them to think about the type of man they may want or not want? You're so good at breaking things down into categories. What are some I mean, I think, it's a journey, of course, through experience and relationships, but I just got engaged at 50
Well,
years old.
congratulations.
Thank you. It's never too
Congratulations.
late.
Wisdom. Wisdom appeared. Yeah, right.
Right. Well, and also too, I think, it took me a while. Again, I had to practice that vulnerability. I wasn't ready to have emotional availability until I became that. And some other journeys there, but I think too, being an alpha female for a while kind of chumped me up there. But let's get into like, how can a woman look at the type of man she wants? I remember one time we were talking, you said, hey, a woman might think she wants an alpha, but she doesn't because he might be working and so ambitious that she wouldn't get enough of who he is, and maybe that's what she wants. So if there's a way you can kind of break that apart for women out there who are like, all over the place with who they've dated and they're trying to get clear about the type of man they want.
Well, okay, there's a lot of paradoxes that go on here, but you kind of mentioned one, which is it really the alpha that I want to be with? There's the feeling that if you were with an alpha man, he would make you feel more feminine. My thing is you need to learn how to feel more feminine and then find out who you're attracted to.
Perfect.
So there's a dance there. And I can relate to that in that, being in my environment that I've grown up in and what I am, I never feel fear. Okay. I even when I give talks or whatever, I overcame that when I was much younger. So fear is not a thing I feel much at all. I'm not even familiar with it. But when I was in Russia one time, they wanted me to have a bodyguard. So I'm in an unknown place. I still feel fine. It seems like wherever I go, people read my book. They say, thank you. Okay. But they wanted me to have this bodyguard. And the bodyguard was 6'7". Okay. And a big guy. Okay. He was just a big, big guy. He could barely fit into his Mercedes. I mean, it was literally barely get into it. And it was the first time in a long, long time, maybe the first time in my life, I felt so safe. Okay. It was just having someone who's had more power than me. Then suddenly I just felt safe. I went, oh, this is how women feel with a good guy. Okay. So having a man with masculine skills and energy. Now, what that energy is, by the way, could be physical, could be he's able to make money because you can't make money without male energy. That's the energy that says, I will make sacrifices to achieve my goal. I'm not going to complain about it. Okay. That's just, you do what you have to do and you accept it because you're going to get paid. Okay. And you just do what you have to do, as opposed to maybe it's not always what I like to do, what I enjoy doing, but I end up liking it because it's paying me, as opposed to just being something that I like to do. Okay. So a dance there. So for women to come back to their female side, then they start to find there's a tendency. Now, see, everybody's different, so I don't want to just say one thing, but one thing is if you look at a woman's history where she's alpha and she picks men and she has sex with men, and then it turns out to be not the right guy. And then she has sex with a guy and he just drops her or he's not interested in her, or she basically finds out that he's not so alpha and is disgusted by him. He, so there's like picking the right guy for you. So what I'm suggesting is that if that's been your pattern, and I'm not going to ask you what your pattern is, but just if that's been a woman's pattern where she's been really attracted to a guy, and for whatever be the reason, he stops very soon being attracted to her, or she's no longer attracted to him, he's the wrong guy, right? He's the wrong guy. Next. But why was she so turned on to him? See, that's the thing. She was listening to below the waist feelings. Okay. And that's not the best signal to pick out the right guy if you're a woman. The best signal is somebody who you respect, someone you admire, someone who has mental capacities, and having conversation with him. And it's you get along, you know, and you start to have a natural sense of trust and appreciation for the way he thinks, for what he does. He has similar values. And it's not sparking, oh, I'm so sexually attracted to you. Okay. You're a great person. I'd like to get to know you. I'd like you to get to know me. And then you go on dates together and he does things for you that you enjoy. And then that will start feeling more estrogen. And then you start to feel turned on sexually, because that's one common way. If a woman can start north and slowly go down south, then does she actually get sexually turned on to him? She went to the mind, she went to the heart, but no sex happened. Well, that's the wrong guy. But if there's no sex right away, could still be the right guy. That's the thing I'm trying to encourage, is that there is this pattern of, if you have an absent father, there's an unavailable father. There's a tendency to be turned on right away to the wrong man, the unavailable man. Right. And so you can already know my Geiger counter goes off. If it goes off down south, he's the wrong guy. Now, if that's been a woman's pattern, to the extent that's her pattern, then that means she has a issue to correct. That means that the right man for her may be a little boring. Okay, this is where there's a challenge there, is give a relationship a chance when a man is not someone that you're going to go after. See, alpha women go after. So it's like you're going after guys. Generally, it could be the wrong guy easily. But here's a guy that's going after you and you don't want to go after him, but it's nice. So that's where you give the relationship a chance to go from a friendship of a little bit romantic friendship that can gradually turn into sex as opposed to right away. And the older you are, the more quickly you can get there, but still, it's a different kind of guy, and usually surprises women. There can be this place of surprise because you're not going after him. See, when you're going after someone, you're in your male polarity. When somebody's coming after you and you kind of go, well, let me see. And then you can practice, even if it's the wrong person, you begin dating men who are more interested in you that you don't want to go after. And you practice a skill, which is, I'm just going to see, and I'm going to create a series of positive dating experiences, because I'm not demanding a perfect man. I'm not looking for the perfect man. I'm looking to create a series of positive dating experiences where I'm not going to try to impress. See, if you're on your alpha side, you want to impress people. Oh, I can do this, and I've done that. it's all the male side. We're supposed to see, the male side wants to impress. Look, I can do this for you. I'll do this for you. I'm going to win your love and all that. That's what you want to get out of the habit of doing, is being a salesperson or a manager. You just want to come into this place of learning how to ask a man to do things for you, let a man do things for you, strengthen your feminine side, and then if you feel repulsion, then you go away. You find the next. And if you come from an extreme version of I go after men, the right man who could be the right person is going to be kind of like boring to you or not exciting to you. And why would I waste my time with him? Just give it a time to create a series of dating experiences, practicing new dating skills where you're not trying to please someone, impress someone, but at the same time, you're not trying to manage them and control them.
I remember when I was very young, I'm so I'm so mortified that I was like this, but I had a thing for a while where like I just wouldn't let men pay for me. I until two of my male friends were like, "Hey, you better knock it off. This is what we want. This is in our nature. You are, I mean, they called me on it, John, and I was like, and this is, I was in my late 20s. I had a thing, whatever. I'm independent. I don't need you. I don't, and I just couldn't relax into the receiving of that and the whole wonderful dance of that. And then until I got called on it by a couple friends. I want to give
It's
you an
so true.
example.
Let me just confirm
Yeah.
for everybody listening and add a little bit to it, a complete agreement. And the flip side of this is, when a woman can do it herself, then why should I let you do it for me? See, that also gets in the way of, look, I can do it
Mhm.
myself. I don't need you. I'm not a weak person. I probably have more money than you. So what's the big deal? Because certainly if I'm with a bunch of people and have no money, I want to pay for everything. But at the same time, when I'm with people who have a lot of money, I always pay. I like feeling paid because, see, for a man, it's like, look what I can do. You see, for a
Right.
man, it's always, look what I can do. Now, for the woman, women have this wonderful gene called reciprocity, which is, if I do for you, if I give to you, you want to give to me. There's a place there of coming back. What you give to a man when he pays you a dinner, you've already given him by enjoying the meal. Okay, you're not obligated to give him, to see him. Just the fact that you enjoy the meal is a gift to a man.
Yeah.
All we want in life is the experience providing something for a woman who's happy. Okay, that's it. They make a difference in that way. So you're giving him the gift of giving him the opportunity to do something nice for you that you will enjoy. So know that you're being reciprocal. He's giving you this and you're giving him the opportunity to do something good for you. And keep in mind that that's how bonding occurs, is when a man gives to a woman and she's given him the opportunity to give to her and appreciates it, he will bond with her over time more and more. If she's doing things for him and he's appreciating it, then he doesn't bond with her. I was married before for a couple of years with my first wife, and my first wife, uh, she was like my assistant and then became my partner, and she was helping me get my career together. So I was appreciating her all the time. This is great. This is great. This is great. But I lost my attraction for her. It was shocking to me because in the beginning, during the hormone stage of a lot of newness and dopamine, you just feel turned on. And that's because it does raise a man's testosterone and it raises estrogen in women. So there's a polarity that you have this romantic time. And then it was shocking to me, after a couple of years, I'm in bed with this beautiful woman that I was so attracted to, and there's nothing. I mean, how could I have nothing going on? It was just, still learning about being a man and so forth. But our polarity was completely wrong. She was, in a sense, managing me to be successful rather than my managing myself to be successful, and then going to a higher level by providing for her some kind of emotional support or financial support. But there's a place where a man needs to work, one, for himself, and two, for a woman to have trust in him. There's a biological thing that a woman could get pregnant. It's in the genes. Okay, I could get pregnant, and when I'm pregnant, I'm super vulnerable. I would need to have a man who could provide protection and support and food
Yep.
for me. And that's just in our biology.
You can't escape the primal instincts. You cannot escape them. They're still there. So I want to give you an example in my personal life as it relates to being able to communicate with the other sex, to be able to communicate with men sometimes. My situation was uh, my age, hormones, I'm biohacking that. My estrogen had been out of control for a while and I was not feeling great. And I was getting into things I was getting fearful and weird. And I would bring it up to my fiance, and I could tell right away he took it at like whatever I was saying was maybe personal. So then I realized, because this was happening once a month, right? And I've been through this game, I've been on this rodeo a long time. I know I'm logically aware of what's happening. And so instead, what I was like, hey, look, I go, this is what I need from you. I'm like, when I'm in these moments, I am not logical. And I know I'm not logical, yet I'm feeling these awful, weird, illogical, fearful, stupid feelings. And I know, and I go, imagine how frustrating that would be if you know you're just being crazy, but you can't help it. And he said, I would hate that. And I said, so when it's happening, it has nothing to do with you. And I need you to know that. And all I need from you is just comfort, reassurance, snuggle me. I'll get over it. That's what I need. And it's worked out great. He never takes it personally. He's already like, oh, are you in your thing? And I'll be like, I'm having a day or whatever it is. And it worked out great. All it required was that conversation, me just letting him know, hey, this isn't about you. This is like an insane thing that we all women go through sometimes. It's that
You are
dropping
so
pencil days, I call them. You drop a pencil, then you throw half of them across the room, and now you're crying about the pencils, and it's stupid, but we go through this sometimes, and I just had to address it, and it worked out great. So, on that note,
Please,
what are
please. On that note, it's such a good thing for you to share that with other
yeah.
women, being an alpha woman, knowing that's in there. And all you have to do is with your partner, I just need you to snuggle me, hear me. Don't take it personally because I'm going to feel better afterwards. Don't even remember anything I say. If you can say that, it's now we have hand signals for that because it's not just when she's having her period. It could be any day where she's stressed out and she just wants to talk. She puts up 10 fingers, which means for 10 minutes, I just want you to just 100% be there for me. Snuggle me, love me, hear me, understand me. And
I
I'll
love
feel
that.
better and I'll thank you afterwards. Because sometimes if a man is tired and it starts, it can exhaust them even more. But if you put up 10 fingers, it means it's going to be done in 10 minutes. It's amazing how
Right.
much energy it will give a man. And usually, because sometimes I'm, exhausted and stressed out. And I just want to go watch TV. That's my cave time. And we're having dinner, and she says, "Well, I want to continue talking. I want to talk." And I go, "Really?" And in my brain, I'm just thinking, I just want to go sit on the couch and watch the news and forget
Yep.
all my life for a little while. And she just puts her hands up 10. This means, and instantly my energy comes back because I have an endpoint and I know
Ah,
what she's
yeah.
going to do. And that's another biohack for testosterone is to
I
know
like that.
what your endpoint is. Okay, that I can do this. It's only 10 minutes. Anybody can do 10 minutes. And usually I'll go 20 minutes. I'm watching the clock and then I'll forget about the clock because I got that good start and I'm providing what she's needed at that time. That's such an
And it's a
amazing
nice
system.
contained area, like, hey, 10 minutes. And then you go, oh, now I know in 10 minutes I can go watch my stuff. Oh, I can
Yeah,
spare 10
yeah,
minutes.
yeah,
That's
exactly. I
great.
can do
Yeah.
it. I can do it. Now, the another biohack for estrogen and testosterone in men is there's many times where men are tired, or they're busy, or they're doing something. And you know that if you asked him to be something, he would be like a little annoyed and irritated and burdened by you. Okay. So we want to get rid of that feeling that he would ever be burdened by you. And so this is an exercise called a 5-minute hack. I suggest for couples to do this every day because it's women get into first. Let me explain why. And if women get into when they're stressed, they go into I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. Your brain is filled with have tos, right? Can you relate to that?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. That's testosterone being produced. See, that's why when a man sets a goal, he says, I'm going to do something. If he feels I have to do that for my own personal dignity and integrity, that produces testosterone. So goal setting is so important for men's testosterone and marriage commitment. Well, I have to figure this out. I'm not going to leave her. She's mine. I've got to do this. So the have to actually produces testosterone. Now, for women, you don't want that much testosterone, particularly if you want to be able to come back to your feminine. You want to go to what I get to do. It's what I get to do or the support I can get. It's what the support I have, the support I can get. So women are in this I have to thing. You want to what's called pattern interrupt. There needs to be something to interrupt the pattern. It doesn't take much. All it has to be is she puts up her hand for 5 fingers and then he says, "Oh, what is it? What can I do?" He's like a genie in a bottle. He'll jump like right away because I know I'm going to do something for her that will take less than 5 minutes, and then I can go back to what I'm doing. So
Yeah,
once
it's
again,
that end game. I like that because there's a time thing there on both of these for you, I'm noticing. And I see that because it's almost like when you approach a man with an ethereal subject, they're trying to figure out what's the problem that I need to fix here, and they're not even grasping the philosophical whatever unless they know it's a philosophical conversation.
right,
You almost have to preface it, right? Yeah.
exactly. Well, what's the point? What am I supposed to do? And is this
Right.
my problem? Is this no? This is just she wants 10
5
minutes
minutes.
of attention. Now she wants 5 minutes, and in that 5 minutes, this is the game. Okay, it's a process where she's going to ask him to do something for her that she can do for herself, but she doesn't have to do because he is happy to do it for her. It's an immediate takeaway of any of that I have to, because your mind gets really busy as a woman. I have to do this, I have to do this, I got to get this before this. That's just going on. So this is something that she could do for herself, but she doesn't have to do for herself because she's got this partner who's willing to stop on a dime, whatever he's doing, and immediately respond to her request. So be like this. And then it's like, would you make me a cup of tea? Okay. Would you help me to carry the boxes in the garage? Would you change the light bulb in the living room? Would you make the bed? Would you clean the kitchen? For a 5-minute version of it. Would you cook me some eggs? Would you make some orange juice for me? And a common one couples do is, would you give me a foot massage? Okay. And get the oil. And he runs. Okay. The idea is he's like ready to jump, Roger Rabbit, ready to jump and do that. And it just gives you a feeling of, oh, I'm not alone. Oh, I have support. And it's so interesting. I only could come across that when I realized so many women don't feel comfortable asking for things in the relationship, and they don't want to burden. And so many men, if you do ask, he's going to immediately feel like, okay, I'll get to that. It's a small thing. We'll do it tomorrow. We'll do it the next day. This is a big frustration for men, where men will tend to prioritize one thing and forget about everything else. And it's easy to take that personally as a woman, which is, well, if you won't do this little thing for me, what if I needed something big? So it's amazing psychology. It all started, that awareness in me, with men and women being different, with one of the ideas in Men Are From Mars, which is how women score points, which is, if I give her 24 roses, you get a surge of estrogen. We'll call that a point, a surge of estrogen. But in my mind, I think I'm producing 24 points because it's 24 roses. I can bring her one rose, and she's getting almost the same surge of estrogen. And this is the concept that men do not understand if they don't understand women. Lots of little things is essential, and occasionally big things. Okay. So there has to be some big things occasionally, but it's kind of like the gilding the lily. But the key is, for it to even appreciate the big things, it's got to be lots of little things that he did in the beginning and he doesn't do anymore.
That made me laugh thinking about, I asked someone once who had gotten divorced. I said, "Oh, why did you get a divorce?" And they just said, "Coffee grounds." And I said, "Wait, what?" And they go, "Coffee grounds on the counter." Like, I guess their partner. I mean, obviously it was more than that, but that's a small thing though, isn't it? It could be a small thing. It could be a small thing to correct, or a small thing to let go, right? Either side. But I think that those are small things.
Nicely said. That's your alpha woman being reasonable, and it is reasonable.
reasonable.
It's good to be both male and female. Is like the ultimate. You've got that strength of your masculine side. Now you come to your female side, but you always have that to rely on. It's amazing.
Yeah. And I have a very alpha male, but he's a tender alpha, but he's very alpha, and it works perfectly with me. I am so it's just it's all sappy. I am like just a feminine mess over here. It's really great. It feels so good. And look, took me a while to get there. Obviously, all of your books and your work will do that. We talked a lot about hormones, and I do want to get into detox, and I know you do too, because you have a lot on your website about this and ways to learn about this. As my experience as an ancestral health coach and health author myself, detox is essential. I have a sauna myself. I had high mercury at one point. These things wreak havoc on the body, right?
And I'm a thyroid. And they're hormone disruptors, and they inhibit all your hormones. Yeah.
That's right. So if you're out there, you're looking for a relationship, one of the things you can do, aside from maybe the dating or the matchmaker or the dating site or getting yourself together for that, is doing a detox. So let's talk about that, and maybe what you've seen in terms of some 180s and people you've worked with or have, spoken to, who've kind of come out on the clear with that and been able to balance their hormones this way.
Well, a major thing for men is belly fat. And it's natural for men as they get older for their estrogen levels to go up. And it's natural for women's testosterone levels to go up. It's for women, the challenge is to stay on my female side as my male side grows, because the male side is confidence. So as you get older, you're going to be more confident. And for men, as they get older, they feel more love. You see, it's like you have children. It's just that the estrogen levels go higher. So it's imperative for us to know how to generate testosterone. Now, one of the things is to get rid of belly fat. Belly fat is a generator of estrogen. When you have belly fat, extra fat on your body makes estrogen. And then estrogen puts food in the belly. So estrogen stores fat in a man's body. It produces more estrogen and more estrogen. And the only way to get rid of that for a man is detox. You got to detox the liver so your liver can remove that belly fat and your body can burn that fat off. And I've looked at all kinds of research and everything. And for me, I began doing this research. I'm like you. I also study health, wellness. I've written a book called The Wellness Solution, the diet and exercise solution. And that was all because I had early stage Parkinson's, 50 years old. And I was able to turn that around by going to a lot of experts, alternative, and learning about the body, learning about this, and learning about detox. Detox was very, very important. Although I eat a good diet back in the 90s, which is when I was developing this, I was traveling all the time. You travel, you don't get organic food. You don't get perfect food. You're eating airplane food occasionally. So that was toxicity building up. And that was inhibiting my hormone production, also inhibiting brain function. So I started having those problems. So I created a wellness ranch where everybody went on detox programs. And I just saw everything getting better, as I'm sure you've seen with detox. So I've looked at, and then a revolutionary thing I discovered from a Swiss scientist. A part of my thing was helping people go through a detox where they reduced their calories for a couple of days, and then they amped up their calories for a couple of days, and then they reduced them down again. And the key to amping up your calories 2 days before you amp down your calories was that if you fully digest your proteins, they'll stay in your body and you won't even be hungry when you're detoxing. And you're adding things to help your body to detox. So there was protein shakes. You need to have protein to make your brain chemicals, your proteins. And scientists and people do protein shakes and whatever. Well, this was using protein shakes from good materials, but packing it with protease enzymes, 5 different kinds of protease enzymes. And you make the shake and you put warm water in it and you let it sit for 45 minutes. And those protease, when it's the body temperature, warm water, those activates the enzymes to digest the proteins. So what you're getting is no longer proteins that have to be broken down. You have an actual pure, all natural amino acid shake. And they did research on it and found that when you took the 45 minutes and incubated your protein shake with the enzymes and a lot of other good things, you can put great stuff in shakes. But then what happened is you got a 91% assimilation. And so literally it feels like it just a vapor goes into your brain. And that's what really helped transform my brain, was because if you have any stress in your life, you're not fully breaking down your proteins. And even when you break down your proteins, good digestion, and you have meat, you're only going to absorb 20 to 30%. If you do a protein shake, you're getting about 15%. If you're vegan, your vegan proteins, you're getting 10%. That actually gets assimilated. You can test the nitrogen in your body when you breathe out by how much did you actually utilize versus how much did you not. So eating all those proteins produces another toxic load on the body. So even when you're detoxing, you're building up proteins just from not fully digesting your proteins. So anyway, so this is the program. We do coaching on it, helping people to understand that process. We do a thing where, 2 days of loading protein, 2 days of taking aloe vera and some other natural things to help the body detoxify. Then 4 days of protein loading, and then 2 days, and then 4 days, and 2 days. And peer-reviewed studies shows that everybody who needs to lose weight loses between 10 and 20 pounds. And the people who incubate all lose 20 or 30 pounds. And what you're basically doing is re-stimulating your metabolism. Your muscle mass increases, and there's no PubMed studies, no peer-reviewed studies showing any detox program that causes your muscle mass to increase and to get your belly fat down 30% of the fat in there gone in a month. But it's a bit of a boot camp. But we give coaches to help people go through it. And that's something
How can people find out about that? Did they go to marsvenus.com or somewhere else?
So I used to have a whole wellness store. I recommended 40 different products that I thought were good. I don't anymore. There's only one product I recommend there, which is called lithium orotate, which is it's called elemental orotates, but it's the lithium in it that helps reduce stress very quickly in your body. But then if you go to, at the bottom of the page, if you just go to contact us, you'll have a contact page. And if you would like one of our coaches nutritional coaches to talk to you, they will call you up and talk to you about the program. And tell you the program. And if you want to do the products I recommend that I use, they'll tell you what that is as well. But I don't want this to be like selling. I just want
Right. No, but hey, look into it. I mean,
to,
I've had a detox a couple of times. And I'm really glad I did because it was really affecting mitochondrial dysfunction and hormones. And that's why I ended up investing in a sauna for
well, I have infrared sauna as well. It's
that you.
infrared.
Yeah, I have a sunlight and sauna.
Yeah, they're great. I have
They're
one.
the best.
They're
I also
fantastic.
reduced, by the way, far infrared saunas just because I was looking into this. So again, I was going through menopause. I'm trying to biohack the hormones. Things are going well, but I literally knocked 5% body fat off in about 4 months. If you do about three 30-minute sessions a week of far infrared sauna. It'll reduce body fat percentage by 0.4% a week if you're consistent with it. I can say for myself that I tried it and it worked. It was a great addition. It's like another workout. And so, I cannot stress. And also, if you can't exercise or you're disabled or you're recovering, then the way you sweat and the way you're able to get that sort of metabolic fire there is through a far infrared sauna. They can be so helpful for circulation and things for people that are immobile or recovering.
So,
On
so,
Mars
so
Venus dot.
helpful. And I want to mention that this program where they saw 20 pounds go off with no exercise, they wanted to see if with exercise is
Yeah,
even better. But you don't have to
you don't
exercise
have to.
at least to get for the detox, but you can exercise. But research has been done on people who sweat while they exercise. They're not excreting heavy metals. Okay. Your body is not eliminating at that time. You're
Yeah,
sweating
it's
out
like
water. You're
water.
dehydrating
Yeah.
yourself, but it's the sauna. They measure all this toxicity coming out of you. And the infrared sauna doesn't have to heat up so much. It heats from the inside. So you use
Mhm.
it that way.
It's amazing. Also, want to mention marsvenus.com/gift. This is a wonderful sort of free course he has on getting the ease in relationships that you want. And of course, this whole book catalog is there. Uh, Thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to speak to you. This is endless, isn't it? Because sexuality and relationships are changing and growing. Your mind must be blown from where you were as a young man looking at the world of relationships, men and women, to now. It's ever growing and expansive. I mean, and you're just
Yeah, I
going
could
along
never
with it. How fun
imagine.
is that?
I could never imagine that a marriage could be so fulfilling and sex could be so fulfilling in my 70s. It's not for my friends. They're all beyond it. I'm not interested in that. To me, it's like one of the greatest things. It's making love. I call it enlightened sexuality. You're not trying to increase pleasure. You're increasing pleasure in order to feel more love and then being able to express that love. And I know we're finishing up, but I just want to give one biohack as well,
Yeah.
because you're in touch with your female side. And it's a wonderful thing to anchor it into the relationship. And it's where every day, which is when you're doing the hug, you say, let's do the reassurance exercise. Or she doesn't really have to say that after a while, but it looks like this. She just simply says to him, now she knows he loves you, right? But you're going to say, do you love me? And he's going to say, I love you. He's not going to say, of course I love you. Why would you not think I do? No, just real simple. Do you love me? I love you. And then she says, how much do you love me? He says, with all my heart. And she says, are you happy to be married to me? I'm so happy to be married to you. Do you feel lucky to be married to me? I feel so lucky to be married to you. And do you think I'm beautiful? You are so beautiful. Now, you're my angel, whatever he wants to say. But you can say the same script over and over. It can vary a little, but it allows you to go back and feel those insecurity feelings that you had in the beginning. Does he like me? Does he love me? Is he happy to be with me? See, that's always in there. And people say, I want to produce the hormones we felt in the beginning. That's part of it because that's like purely feminine. And then him giving you the assurance, and that's all he can do is give assurance. Just like this other tool that you do so beautifully. I just need to be a little crazy right now. I'm going to say this stuff. I'm going to feel better afterwards. Just hug me, hold me, listen to me. And one final hack I just want to quickly give, because these are practical things, is there's times where couples get in arguments and there's a tension, and you need to stop talking because talking increases tension. At a certain point, talking is not the answer. And often a man will walk away or a woman will walk away. There's another thing we can do. It's just say, one of you can do it. Let's stop talking, sit next to each other, and hold hands. It's just simply that.
So sweet.
See, it is very sweet. The body is in love with the partner. It's the mind that gets in the way because of what you said. I don't feel safe but you just sit there and you sitting together and not talking. And he puts his hand on her hand. And at a certain point, she might put her arm around him and you might lean in together. It's the best way because talking is not always the answer. Just stop talking and be close together. And that creates the magnetism of that will heal. It will help the hormones go back into balance, which is that feeling safe that we're not going to talk and
Yeah.
that, but we're not leaving each other and we're being together. So that's another hack
And
that
it's
we do.
bringing that tone down to one of then respect. Like, hey, it's bringing it back to the love, like the holding the hands. I still love you. We're here. And then that is if that moment of silence, that couple minutes or whatever that may be, that stop talking, I could just only imagine is going to generate probably a better level of respect and tone that's going to come out of
Yeah, yeah. And
whoever's
tone is a
mouth
key thing.
after. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You just sit there for a little while. Not just a couple of minutes. It could be for a while.
Well, I am, well, just thrilled with all of your work. We have so much to learn from you. Everyone, marsvenus.com, get into it. He has so many resources for you in all relationships, even if you're in one and you're struggling or you want one and you don't have one. Thank you again so much. And to everyone else, we'll see you next week. Hey, thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this show, I would so appreciate you leaving a review on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And to learn more about partner discounts on amazing products, visit elleruss.com/discounts.